All right, I think this has worked out. Hello, hello for everyone that is here. I don't know if you can all hear me or see me. All right, I just saw a wave. Yay. All right, hello, hello. So I love starting my lives with just a check-in. So if you all want to just close your eyes for a moment before we let Paul join us. If you just want to close your eyes and just give me one word as to how you're feeling. So right now I'm checking in and I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I'm also very excited for this live, but just a little overwhelmed. I just got back from a trip. So I'm excited to hear how you're feeling. There's also, everyone decided to mow their lawns this morning. So if you hear sounds in the background, then that's just people mowing their lawns. Someone said excited. I'm so glad. Hi from South Carolina. Ooh, someone's feeling peaceful. Give me some of that energy, but we're going to get there. We're going to get to a beautiful, peaceful place. You're doing two things at once. Okay. Hello, hello, Charlene. Hello. I believe my husband joined. Hello, Toddy. Diana's here. Hello from London, England. Yes. All right. It's international now. I love it. Oh, good. Can't hear the mowing. That's great. That's great. That's great. I think I have a filter because I look way better on this than I actually like. I was like, wow, okay. So I don't know how that happened, but I will take it. Hi from Ohio. Hearts from Todd. All right. I don't know that Paul has joined us yet, so I'm just going to check on the requests. He's not there yet. Other people have asked to join. I love it. So for those of you who have just joined, I just asked if you wanted to just give me one word as to how you're feeling. I said I'm feeling overwhelmed, but now just reading all your wonderful messages, I feel already just so much more at peace. From Ontario, wow, Canada. Beautiful. So today we're going to talk about gratitude and nighttime routines. So it's going to be exciting. And Paul has a lot to say. He's just a man of many talents. So I'm excited to have him join. And I just saw that he joined in right now. So I'm just going to accept him. Let's open to receive, Diana said. Yes, 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 yes. Hello! Yay, you made it!
The last thing I heard was Paul has a lot to say. Is like Paul likes. Paul has a lot to say.
That is not what I said. I said you have a lot to say. You have a lot to share, and we are here to receive. So I am so excited that you're here. Thank you so much for making the time on your Friday morning. Is it morning where you're at, or are you still in Mexico?
No, I'm here. I'm in Los Angeles. Yeah, yeah. Where are
Wonderful.
you? You're in. Where are
I
you?
just made it back to LA. So I was in Atlanta shooting something, and now I'm back in LA, back home. I got a few hours with my husband before he like just flew out to Memphis. So we just missed each other, but or at least saw each other, and then now he's off. But I get my dog Winston. I get to hang out with him, so I'm excited about that.
Cool.
How about you? So you just got back as well, or?
Yeah, I just got back. I don't know what day is today. Friday. I got back Wednesday. So I've been home a couple of days. I was just in Mexico for 3 days. We're working on a really cool regenerative farm project down there, and was just meeting with all the people that our farmer and the architects, and it's a really exciting project. I'm super excited about it.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
You'll have to
I
tell us.
remember seeing some stuff of you in Mexico with Aubrey Marcus not a long time ago, but like a year or so ago. You were doing some stuff in Mexico, weren't you? Till me?
Yeah, practicing gratitude and teaching gratitude. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So full circle. But so here we are, and we have all these wonderful people that are joining in. So hello, hello to everyone. Um,
Connecting. Is that my internet or
oh,
yours? Am I connecting here? Let me make sure.
I think mine is good.
Yeah.
Um, so I started asking people how they're feeling. So I want you to like just give me one word that describes how you're feeling right
How am I feeling at this moment?
now.
Okay. I'm feeling
Yeah.
I'm feeling open. That's how I'm feeling. I feel open, like and 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 excited. Open and excited. Those are my two words.
Open and excited. I like.
Hmm.
I had overwhelmed and excited. Um, but I'm also very open, and I'm open to receive all that you have to share. So today the focus was supposed to be on nighttime routines. So we're just going to start with a little bit of that. But first, we are on the Boo to Bullying platform. So I wanted to see if you had anything to share. First of all, please share about yourself. Tell us who you are, and also if you have any experience with bullying, whether you've been bullied or whether you've bullied others, or as we discussed, perhaps as a father, and a few your wonderful lady, your queen is pregnant too. So just whatever you feel like sharing, go ahead. We are.
Sure. I'm Paul Greene, and you and I met. Maya and I met in an acting class by Margie Haber years and years ago. It was in. Did we do the intensive weekend together first, and then into class? We did, right?
Yes. Gosh, that feels like a lifetime ago. That must have been like 7 years. I don't even know.
It probably. It was a really cool class. I still use her technique for auditioning, where for those who don't know, Margie Haber has a book. Actually, I have her book here. I think it's how to get the part without falling apart. I think, and then
Yeah.
is an audition technique that takes a lot of the stress out of trying to memorize for audition. So you can like read a little bit and then finish the line or two up on your partner, and it changed my life. That technique, I still use it all the time, and cold reads are like my favorite because of her. Like I
I
prefer.
love that.
Yeah, I sometimes prefer having less time with things because then I'm more like immediate with it and not like all rehearsed. And so that's where we met. And we immediately like had this like we've known each other for a long time kind of feeling with one another, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
No. Yeah, Margie was, I love that class. It so many incredible people. I met wonderful friends, so I'm grateful for that.
it's so cool with acting class too, because over the years you see the people you went in class with doing like big shows or big movies, and you get so excited because it's like high school, and you're like, oh, I wonder what they're doing, and then they pop up and you see these other actors. But yeah, so I'm an actor. I grew up in Canada and started in my first acting thing when I was 16. I put myself in an acting school in Edmonton because I had a dream. I was on a farm with no reason to be wanting to be acting, but I kept dreaming I was in a movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme, like martial arts fighting on the.
Okay.
Every morning I woke up on set in my dream, and I started. There was no Google, so I yellow paged to find an acting school, and the nearest school was like about an hour away. So as soon as I got my car, I drove myself to a Daryl Mork studio there, and that kind of got me into acting. But then a really famous scout found me when I was in college at 18 for modeling, Kelly Stride, who also found like Trisha Helfer and Jason Thompson and a bunch of really great people who are acting now but started out in fashion. And that got me out of small town, 3,000 people, which is where I grew up. Wetaskiwin has 10,000, but I grew up in this really small farm community, and traveled the world. Lived in Europe for most of my late teens and 20s,
Oh,
and
that.
what's that?
I said I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I lived in Milan and Paris and London and Tokyo and Hamburg and all over the place. And then finally ended up in Miami. And then somebody in Miami named Maury saw me from Innovative and brought me to New York for acting when I was 24, something like that, 25. Yeah.
Oh.
And that started my, like, then I was in school there with Stella Adler, Nuta Hagen, and Susan Batson. And really, even though I was doing print and fashion, I was in school there for acting. And then when my son was born, moved to LA to like cut my ties with fashion and just dive full on into acting. And that was 17 years ago. Now my son's 18, and and another son that we're expecting in about a month here. So yeah,
So wild.
yeah, it's so
I'm,
wild just how.
she's so wonderful. I only met her once, but I'm your lovely wife. No, I can't remember if you're married.
No, we're engaged. So I call her my bride because we've been trying to get married, but then COVID stopped everything. Her mom's in Australia, can't really travel.
Yeah.
My mom's in Canada, can't really travel. Things are changing a little bit now, but it's hard to get people from around the world safely into a group of like 100. Like so we're just waiting. And I still call her my wife because
Sure.
it's easier. Fiance kind of I don't like that word. It sounds pretentious. It's almost like this is my
Yeah.
fiance. I don't know. Some people love it, but I don't really like.
Well, I'll just call her your wife, your bride, your wife.
Yeah, that's
Um,
so fine. And then and so then I've been here in LA ever since, and fortunately have a career now in film and TV. And then but I grew up in music and as a youth pastor playing guitar and singing, and I was a drummer in our church growing up, so I've always traveled with my guitar and been recording records along the way in my 20s, and then recently just finished 2 more albums. So the music has also been something that really lights me up. Like I couldn't choose if I had to choose between music or acting. I'm creating my dream job where I get to play music and act. Like that's that's what I want to do.
I love that. Well, you're a true artist, but you're also you're writing books right now. Am I right?
Well, yeah, actually, so there's the third leg to this thing is my bride, Kate, and I have an education platform called the Freedom Alchemist portal, and we have about 175 students that we've taken through different iterations of a course of mind, body, and connection. So I was always fascinated with fitness, and I used to do men's health fitness covers when I was in my 20s, and from that side, like learned all the aesthetic part. But then my dad got sick with ALS he passed 7 years ago, and that put me on a longevity detoxification and a whole different side, just a journey of biohacking, and every single tool you could have, we have in our house. And I had to try to keep my dad alive. So in that course, I teach that side of health from a really balanced, fun perspective. And then Kate's a Tony Robbins trained strategic intervention coach, and she's also an NLP master. She's doing her master's today in the other room. It's all on Zoom now for NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, which is sort of what makes Tony Robbins really effective. You can like interrupt people's patterns and help them identify stories they've made up that aren't serving them anymore. Like they might have helped them in the past survive something, but no longer are they serving them, like.
Yeah, I should contact her. Yeah.
Well, some people like bite their fingernails or have to smoke or can't go on airplanes or afraid of snakes or like sabotage relationships when things get good. Like identifying the upper limit problem that a lot of people have. It's like a thermostat of how good you're willing to have it. She's really good at helping people identify that mechanism of sabotage, which is really cool. That's what NLP is really good at. But Kate's really good at that without NLP, and now she's just adding another kind of arrow to her quiver. But and then together we do relationship side, where I used to be. Do you know who David Data is?
I don't think so. I don't believe so.
David, The Way of the Superior Man, which is a horrible name for a book, but he really explains masculine, feminine polarity. Aubrey Marcus talks a lot about masculine, feminine polarity, and one of the pioneers of that was David Data. It's been around forever. Shiva, Shakti, like it's been around, but we introduce our amazing students to like Byron Katie, which is do you know who Byron Katie is?
Of course, yeah, I love her.
I
Hmm.
just absolutely love her too, and having people and just different teachers that really have helped. You know, Brene Brown understanding guilt and shame, and it's really been amazing the transformation in these people that have taken our courses. So that's the other side. And then about 5 years ago, I was getting a massage in Vancouver from Michael. I'm not sure if Michael's on here, but I was sharing because I had an amazing teacher named Kathy Martino and a coach named Larry Ethier who taught me so much. And of course, my mom and dad about parenting. And I was sharing all these things. And he's like, you should make a deck of cards that just shares parenting tips because the way that we raised my son Oliver was really unique and really special because of these mentors I had. And every card is 52 cards, one for every week. And it's like an easy way for dads to like reconnect to their kids if they didn't have a dad. And like little tips like how do you reestablish connection when things have gone squirrely in your home, simple things. But
Yeah.
that turned into a small book, 52 ways to be the dad you wish you had.
Wow.
And we just handed it off to these editors in New York. We're in the like draft days, so it should be out by Father's Day in June. But that's inside of that book is just all the, you know, it's not from an expert's perspective. It's from somebody who's is a parent. I'm about to be a parent again, and all the lessons I learned from my son and Larry and Kathy, and of course my mom and dad. And just like it's got a bunch of little. Every chapter is kind of exciting, and there's some stuff in there on bullying, which I wanted to.
Yeah, well, let's now get into that maybe because I would love to hear if you've had any experiences, whether you've been bullied or you've been the bully, or if there's anything in your book that you'd like to share about bullying before we dive into the nighttime routines. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't experience growing up a ton of bullying. I mean, there's the hazing that you get from sports teams, right? That it was just normal. Our coach shut it down really quickly, Larry, who's my mentor as well, where I had to drink a bunch of water till I threw up or something. But it's because I was the youngest, you know, all the newest players on the team. But that's pretty low key bullying. But you just like they would laugh and drink water, and it didn't feel like bullying. It felt like a rite of like it felt
Yeah.
like a rite of passage to become you know, a starter on the team, and like but that's kind of the only. I wasn't present to that feeling of being bullied or necessarily bullying. It's the conversation came up when my son though was young and he was bullying somebody at school, and and that I was like, and it was a girl that he would like push, like the girl had thrown a spider at him or something, or and then he pushed her, and then and she fell, and then the parents were like trying to sue us and stuff, so we had to go into the school. And I called Larry, my coach, and this is a big part of the book, and I said, Oliver's like bullying, at least that's what it's called, and we were going through a divorce, so there was some stress on Ollie at the time as well. He was really young, like kindergarten probably. So I called Larry, my mentor, Larry Ethier, my coach, my volleyball coach, who is also one of these mentors of the book, and he told me a story that really helped me, that really changed my life around, and it stopped the bullying immediately from Oliver. Was he was called into a school in Kenya to be an international principal, and the school there was he was just to be a custodian for a year over, I think it was like about 100 or maybe 200 kids. And they said, Larry, you're just going to come in. You're not going to change anything. We just need you to be a custodian for the year. And he got there, and there was bullying there. There was kids were being suspended and expelled, and the grades were in the toilet. And he's like, I couldn't just like sit back and custodian. He had to implement things, and what he implemented was so cool. And this is in I think something I share in the book is he had every kid come up with their own consequences for their actions instead of dominating the kids saying if you do this you're going to be suspended or expelled. He's like he went to the worst of the worst kids and had them come in and said I know you probably don't want to be behaving like this, but whatever what you're doing isn't working. So I need you to come up with your own reward system or consequences for your own actions. And so it gave these kids a sense of responsibility to take responsibility for what they were doing. And he turned that school around in just a few months with that one thing of making kids responsible. And so I took that to my son.
Uh,
What's that?
I like that a lot. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's a really powerful tool, and it worked with Oliver really easily. I shared it with him, and I said, "Look, buddy, I know you don't want, because he's such a good kid. And I'm like, I know you don't want to be." And he was getting called to the principal's office all the time, and so like, which I was as a kid all the time. I
Hmm.
was I was always in trouble as a kid. But my parents didn't have this tool. I think my mom's actually watching.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah. And I was always very rebellious. And when you make a kid responsible for their actions to come up with their own consequences, there's nothing for them to rebel against. And so Oliver's like, okay, no skateboarding, no dinner, and to bed right after school. And like those were his consequences. And he was like 6, 7.
Wow.
And kids always usually come up with the way worse consequences than, and I was like, all right, let's tone that back a bit, let's adjust, and like you're gonna have dinner and you're gonna get bedtime story, and I agree with the skateboarding, let's take the skateboarding out for a little bit. And we kind of fine-tuned his rewards consequences, but it took out the guilt and the shame
Yeah.
and the rebellion and the domination, because a lot of, and I share about this in the book, a lot of our parents were parented in a certain way that's just like, what I say is the
Just right.
golden rule, right? And you do what I say, and you don't even ask why, like, because I said so. And in a sense, it's a subtle form of bullying, at least from my perspective and from what I've found with our kids nowadays, like, my son's 18, but they're, as dads, I shared too that we're just putting a roof over the head and providing isn't enough. Like, we need to learn communication tools, and we need to learn how to be a little bit more emotionally intelligent, because kids are demanding that now. Like generations
Yeah.
past, it was surviving the war. It was like, are we going to eat as a family at certain times where there was like the Great Depression or World War II or World War I, and so out of that came this like survival based parenting, which to a kid like me or a kid like my son would feel like domination. Because I said so, you just do what I said, or do what would make God happy, and you don't ask questions. And then inside the kid, there's just all this tension. So it was such a powerful tool for Oliver, and he turned himself around immediately. And I used that continuously when he would mess up, so to speak. I would say, all right, what are you going to put in place so you don't do that again?
Yeah.
Rather than me spanking him, which, I was spanked, and,
Mhm.
and I think I spanked my son once or twice. And then my teacher at the time was like, he's only obeying you, Paul, out of fear.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's, fear is such a torment of a motivating factor in kids, that she's like, and she really helped me shift from fear, parenting from fear to parenting from a place of love, which it seems like more work. But when I got down on a knee and right at his level and really communicated, I took away I'm a big guy, and every parent's big to their kid, and it will feel like they're being bullied. And then when a kid's bullied by their dad, they'll go to school and act it out on another kid. Like
Absolutely.
whatever they learn at home, or they see the husband verbally bullying the wife, or vice versa, or dominating with energy, like dominating with size and power and position, and the kid doesn't know what to do, so they'll go to school, and if they're bigger, they're going to dominate, because that's just what they know. And so bullying, I think, really starts with the environment at home. Like, is the environment at home one where there's some communication, or is it just like, because I said so, that's the law,
Yeah.
you go
100%.
to your room, and you go in like a timeout or a corner, and you just feel that shame and that guilt, and the kid will take that out on someone else, or worse, they'll internalize it and then later become like a serial killer or something.
No, it's all learned somewhere. Someone put learned behavior, but it's all learned at home. So however you're behaving with your child has a big impact and effect on how they behave in school. Absolutely. I'm really excited to read your book now. I can't wait. Please keep us posted on that. And I just want to move things along to nighttime routine because I'm sure you'll have a lot to say about that as
Yeah.
well. Love. Um, so I want to ask you, so whether you've had a good day or a bad day, like do you have a routine at night before going to bed? Do you, especially when you're feeling maybe overwhelmed or stressed or you have a lot on your plate, like is there something that you do before going to bed, or is it kind of you're on autopilot and you just, fall asleep on the couch? Like what does your nighttime routine look like?
I'm not, I'm one of those people that I have a ton of variety in my routines. Like I am not a habitual person. Some people, like my son, is very habitual. Like he makes his breakfast the same way, he makes his bed the same way. He when he studies, he has a chart, and so I think that every person is different. And for some people, a routine will feel like really confining, and for other people, it's total freedom. And so I think routines in general are do create a ton of freedom. Like consistency and commitment does equal freedom, even though in the moment it feels like confinement. But if you commit to something for a long period of time, there's a ton of freedom that comes. It's like same with my relationship to my bride. The more I committed, the more freedom there came in the relationship. Where for at the beginning, I was like afraid to commit because it felt like confinement. But the
Mm-hmm.
switch that switched, and the more I committed, it made sense. The more I committed to my guitar, the more free I became in my guitar playing. The more I committed to singing lessons and my voice, the more free I became. The more I committed to my body with yoga or whatever I did, there was a freedom there. But
That
for
is so key. So, so key. I feel like that people can get both of those misconstrued, that commitment to something or discipline towards something creates, as you said, this confinement or feeling sort of trapped in this one zone, but it actually gives you all the space to do everything else.
it really does. And I mean, relationships are tricky for a lot of people. In commitment, once you've been hurt in the past, your brain is like, I'm just going to keep you safe. Like your only job of your brain is to keep you safe and survive and not repeat things from the past. So to open up to a new loving relationships if you've been burnt in the past somehow is really against your biology. Like it is not easy to do. But for me, the more I committed, it was just a light bulb switch. One of my other teachers just showed me that all the areas where commitment was freedom except for relationships. And I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. Like, why do I just have that area? So I just made a switch, and I recognized in the relationship, the more I committed to what that was as a bond, the more freedom there was. But nighttime routines is, there's a few things I have to do that I just won't miss, which is at stopping caffeine by a certain time in the day. And usually for me is like 1 cup in the morning. If I have a late afternoon cup of coffee, my my time to go to sleep gets really squirrely.
Yes.
It used to not bother me, but it bothers me more now. Magnesium is something I have every single night because magnesium, both internally, there's a product I take called Calm that has a different type.
Oh, I have it. I literally have it in my in my kitchen. Yes.
Of,
It's great.
it's magic, and it not like it. What calcium does, or sorry, what magnesium does is in the cells. So with all the EMFs ripping through you in your cells, you have a calcium gate, and that gate gets jammed open from EMFs, from your Wi-Fi, from 5G, from whatever. But magnesium closes the calcium gate. So as you're sleeping, your cell is whole and not jammed open. And when it's jammed open, there's serious dysfunction. So most everybody needs magnesium. I mean, they should check with their doctor because there's some medications like blood pressure meds that get affected by magnesium, but magnesium's a big part. And then an Epsom salt bath is a huge part of my nighttime approach to sleeping. So there's like a there's
Yeah.
like a routine as the sun sets everything goes dimmer. So the bright lights are off. I have blue blocking lenses in my reading glasses. I have a setting on my computer that goes to orange, and after a certain time, as the sun goes down, our ancestors would be ready to go to sleep. Like they wouldn't get. And as soon as you turn on your TV or your phone or a computer, that blue light tells your body to stop making melatonin, and melatonin is how you sleep. And melatonin is naturally produced when as the evening comes and the orange lights appear, like sunset, and then candles. Our ancestors didn't have blasting white lights everywhere, or blue lights. So some like a nighttime, like an airplane landing, there's almost like the lights go down, the noise levels go down, the room becomes like a sanctuary where there's like a salt lamp in there, and a somavetic sleep thing, which is just like it's an EMF, bit of an EMF block. I have EMF blockers all over the place to reduce
Wow.
the nighttime assault from neighbors' Wi-Fi's, and you can put a timer on your own Wi-Fi that just shuts it off at midnight or at 11, and then it turns on in the morning, so that at night you're not getting hit by your EMFs. And then on the Wi-Fi, I have these clips. I don't know if you can see it. I want to pull it without yanking my Wi-Fi. Can you see this clip here?
Yeah.
Not really. I don't want to pull out my.
Uh,
But it's got I'll take it off. This is from EMF Solutions, and it goes right on the power of my Wi-Fi router and all my extenders. And it literally, I have an EMF reader, which like measures how much is actually in the house. And it goes, when you plug those in, it goes like way, way down.
You're the perfect person for nighttime routines. You're like, "Oh, I don't really have anything at night." And meanwhile, you're like all these things that you do before bed. I mean, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
cool. And what is your self-talk like before bed? Do you go on autopilot so you're just thinking about your day? Do you reflect back on your day, or do you feel sometimes stressed or anxious? And how do you deal with that? I mean, you talked about taking your bath, and I'm assuming that calms you down and soothes you as well. But what happens up here?
My internal talk is really kind and really gentle and really loving, but I think I've trained it that way, like becoming aware. I'm glad you brought it up, but becoming aware that you have a voice in your head that's like telling you stories, and telling you're too much of this or not enough of that, is like, because you should be doing more of this, or la la la. Like that voice in your head becomes like a tormentor for some people, and they can't sleep. So like journaling, I mean, the artist way is something I've done many times in my life, where
Love.
yeah, you love that. You've done
Yeah,
it too.
it's literally underneath this computer that's holding this up. I've done all three different books of the
Have,
art.
oh, cool. So do you find that helps you with that voice in your head a bit?
It definitely does. And there's the latest book. I don't know if you've done that one. It came out last year. That's all about listening. And it's all about just talking less, listening more. And it helps at night as well, just like hearing the sounds that happen. And it allows you to have this sense of presence that's really just profound. Like if you just listen more. So for me, it's helped massively in all kinds of areas, whether it's my relationships, whether it's, waking up in the morning and just hearing the birds chirping, or going, late at night, just even when you listen, you just feel more. So even if it's petting my dog, or, just feeling the blanket. So definitely. I love the artist way, and if you guys haven't heard of it, please look it up, because it is life changing, I think.
It really is, and you subconsciously dump, so you just kind of get the chatter out on a page, and that helps at night. But like after the bath at night, picking up a paper book, like I have a bunch of books that I love to read, and just even a few pages of paper book, not a ebook or something, just as you're going to bed, is such a really, it's so for me, it's like it knocks me out, because it's, reading is something at night that helps really, really drops that down. So, but just having your bedroom be a sanctuary for sleep is so important. Like plants, and not and having it really dark. So like making sure that you have no blue lights like on an air conditioner or a filter, or like making sure that when you're actually asleep, because we have photoreceptors everywhere. So that's why like in the morning, as soon as that sun starts to come up, the photoreceptors in your skin will wake you up. And so having your, not just your eyes, but sometimes depending where I am, I'll sleep with a full on, I have this really cool face mask that's like silk that like kind of wraps, and it also covers my ears. So depending if I'm traveling and I can't get the room dark, I'll do that. And that seems to really help just from any blue light coming in that allows, but I don't have a problem sleeping. Like I can sleep
Lucky.
any, anywhere as long as I don't have too much caffeine.
Yeah.
But chamomile tea at night is a routine that we have our students do, and also that I know if I need to go to bed early, which is hard for me because I'm a night owl, but like if I need to go to bed at 10, I'll drink chamomile tea a lot, like going towards that. And then the magnesium, and then the hot bath, and then reading a book as everything's sort of calming down. But like never taking a phone call at night that you know is going to be mentally stimulating or triggering. Like if like someone calls and you know that conversation, like just save it for tomorrow. Like it's not, because
Such
you'll
advice.
be right.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to go ahead and just give you guys just the practice that I do every night before bed. And we'll see if everyone, because we did that with morning routines, and we'll see if everyone can commit to maybe a week of it. So basically, you just find a rock that fits in the palm of your hand. I don't know if you know this, Paul. So you can find it at a store. You can find it even outside your apartment building or your home. So find just a rock that fits in the palm of your hand, and before bed, so you can put it where your alarm clock is or just on your bedside table. And every night you're going to look at it. You're going to put it in your hand. You're going to hold it, and you're going to look back on your day. And I'm going to ask you to do this, Paul. And you can look at, even since this morning, if you woke up earlier, maybe look at yesterday, and you're going to go back through your day and just think of everything that happened. I like to go from morning to evening, but some people like to go reverse from like evening to morning, and just think of the best thing that happened that day. Think of the best thing that happened that day, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a walk that you did, whether it was an audition or whatever it is, and look back on your day and just give thanks for the most beautiful thing that happened. And with that, you just go over just so many things that you didn't realize actually happened. And you'll look at the good versus focusing on the negative. And wherever your chatter is, you can focus on the best things that have happened. And there's always things to be grateful for. There's always something, right? So it's a very simple practice, because we don't want to make things complicated, especially at night. We want to be able to just go to bed in a good, peaceful place, and gratitude just allows you to do that. So I'm going to ask you, Paul, whether you choose today because you've woken up early and you've already had a pretty full day, or look at yesterday and just give me one thing that happened that you're really grateful for. Can you think of anything?
Oh yeah.
You can all comment below
So
and give me what you're grateful for.
I picked my son up from the airport after not seeing him for a month, and so just to see his face and to hug him and to hear his like, just to feel his hug. And it was late, he came in late, but just that it's been a month since I've seen him. Because
Mm.
and so I was so grateful just to like just to be in the car with him and hear about his trip, uh, and share and just hear about what he did. So that was a big gratitude, was getting to see him and just to be sharing the same space with him.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Love that so much. So before we start your meditation to wrap us up, Paul, I'm just going to ask everyone to commit to finding a rock. This is my rock. It changes over time. But find a rock and place it by your bedside. And it takes literally 2 minutes, or you can even fall asleep with your rock, which I do often. I just, end up falling asleep with it. And just commit to, for a week, or you can do it for a month. I've been doing it for 9 years, every night. And
Really?
every single night for 9 years, I have my magic rock and I fall asleep with it and I just think of the best thing that happened that day. So I'm hoping you can all commit. And Paul, would
Yeah.
you please guide us in any form of meditation that you can think of, or as you said, you had a practice that you
Yeah.
do?
Oh yeah. So I learned priming from Tony Robbins, and you're gonna love this because the first part of it's gratitude, and the idea of this is we're being primed by the media, by the food we eat, by our environment. We're being primed. Like I grew up on a farm, and my dad would have to spray this primer on the tractor in order for it to start, and it was like an ether thing. So without that primer, the tractor wouldn't start. And so we primed as like you're being conditioned to respond by the news you watch, by the social media algorithm that feeds you. And so what priming does is you prime yourself to be creative rather than to just be responding all day. And this is a more of a morning routine, but I'll do a shortened version of it. The long version's about 10 minutes, but I'll cut it down. I'll shorten all the pieces of it, but it starts with breath work. So if you just get comfortable and you bring your arms up, sort of like this. I got a wall right here. Let me move this just a little bit. Okay. Okay. So, and you're going to bring your elbows down to your side and breathe in and out your nose. So it looks like this. So just follow along. We're going to do about 30 of these. And you can hit your elbows pretty good on your ribs. Don't hurt yourself, but close your eyes. In and out your nose. And then just rest with your hands up on your lap or however you want. Just sit there for a second. Take a deep breath. And we'll do one more round of that 30 breaths. Everybody doing this at home? I hope so. Don't just watch us. You got to do it. All right. And let your hands rest on your lap. Take a deep breath. Now I want you to imagine something that you can actually first take your hand, put it on your chest and your heart. And your first gratitude can be for this heart that just beats continuously without you manipulating it, without you hoping it beats, without you stressing. Your stress makes no difference on how your heart beats. So the gratitude for this magnificent organ that just serves you selflessly just beats and beats and pumps life-giving oxygen throughout your body. Now, from that place of gratitude, find a moment, a person, an event, something you've done, a person that just makes you smile and that you're totally grateful for, and just get that person or that moment or that thing in your mind and just focus on that. Now, once you've got that image, just make it a little bit brighter, that gratitude, and just feel what it feels like to be fully, totally grateful for that person or that moment. And now you can just switch and grab one other thing to be grateful for. You'll have many of these, Maya, but anybody, it can be anything. It could be the simple taste of the coffee you had this morning that you could be totally grateful for, or the feeling of your child's hand when it holds your hand, and you just feel that feeling, get it through your body. And make that feeling bigger. You can allow a smile to come to your face. Now just drop your hand on your lap, and I want you to imagine a blue light that comes from way up, way beyond the stars, beyond the galaxies, that just comes all the way down. You can make it a blue light, a yellow light. You can make it the light of God, the love of God, whatever you want. Have that come all the way down through the stars, the clouds, our atmosphere, right into your room and right through the top of your head. It's just a beam of love and light that you can make it whatever color you want. And now feel that light go through your top of your head, your ears, your neck, your shoulders, your tongue, your throat, your heart, your organs, your belly button, your hips, your pelvis, your thighs, your knees, your ankles, calves, ankles, toes, and have it go right back out the earth, the other side, like through all the way down to the other side of the planet, that same blue light or whatever color, out through the clouds, the atmosphere, the stars, the galaxies there. And just see yourself positioned between that pole of perfect love, perfect light.
Hmm.
And take that feeling from your heart and send it towards somebody that might need that love that you're now feeling. Somebody in your life that's hurting, that may have lost somebody, that can't forgive themselves. Just send that to somebody else. Send all that love in your heart to somebody who needs it. And then from this place, there's usually 3 of these we do, but we'll just do one. I want you to pick something in your life that a project, whether it's finishing a book, whether it's calling somebody that you know you should call, whether it's decluttering your closet or your kitchen. And I want you to see that it's been on your to-do list forever. Pick a project. But I want you to see it now as done and complete and get into the feeling of what it feels like to have that completion, and feel how proud you are of yourself for completing that thing that's been just there and you've just been procrastinating on it. Just feel what it feels like to be proud of yourself for completing that thing that you said you were going to do. And move that feeling from being proud to gratitude. You're grateful for that feeling of completion around that thing that just nagged at you. Take a deep breath. Go. And there you go. And that's a shortened version of priming. So then from this place, you can take on your day, Maya, or anybody watching, you're no longer at the effect, you're actually in the cause. So like you're primed now, like just get present to how that feels in your body. And my body's vibrating and buzzing, and I feel like effortlessly able to sort of take on the day. And that's like a beautiful little morning breath work, gratitude practice, visualization, and the whole thing. It kind of is that's 5 minutes, but the things usually you go about 3 gratitudes, 3 projects, and send love out to a few different people. So that can be short or it can be long.
That was heavenly. And it's funny because I guided people towards the meditation last week with my friend Cassie on morning routines. And I do exactly that in terms of like the things that I want to manifest. I just see them and feel them as visually like done, and that heartfelt gratitude for it all just being in my present versus something that's unattainable in my future. So it's just where your practices are very much in alignment with all things that I believe in. So I'm so beyond grateful for you showing up today. I hope you'll come back on our platform of Boo to Bullying, because maybe once your book comes out, if you'd be interested in coming.
And as I'm looking through my manuscript, there's so many parts about bullying that I didn't even realize. I mean, if I search for a word on bullying, I bet you it comes up like 27 times, because
Wow.
it's such a thing. It's like we just parent the way that we were parented. And so to bring a little bit of consciousness, I mean, my dream for this book is to do a prison tour, because on Father's Day, there's 0 phone calls out of prison. On Mother's Day, there's like 1 million. So
Wow.
and then these dads come out of prison, they don't have a dad. So how are they going to know how to be a good parent unless they're taught? And so, or at least showed, and my book's very like Ernest Hemingway style, like really easy to read and funny and quirky. And I'm going to do a prison tour with my music too, and probably a couple other people like that'll sing with me, and then just give these books out to people in prison, and they're written in a way that they'll be easy to read for, all different levels of reading, but simple ways to reconnect with your kids or anybody really, communication tools that they may not have had. And I'm really excited about that part of where I'm going to start with this book once it's out.
I love it. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for you to now relive fatherhood after 18 years with a whole different set of knowledge, right? I mean,
I'm so excited. Like there's every kid's different, so some of the tools that work like magic on Oliver may not work for Austin. That's the name we've chosen for our little guy, is Austin.
I
uh,
love
yeah, it's a cool name. And just to be, but I have a bunch of different tools to try. And Kate's just the communication, but just being able to listen to discover rather than to listen to respond. Like so often as parents, we're trying to fix things, and especially as men, like when our partner comes to us with the problem, or we think we got to fix them and fix the problem, and our kids come to us, and instead my teachers and my mentors have taught me to be like, no, no, just listen to discover rather than listen to respond. And just keep asking the questions, and because if they get the epiphany, the child or your spouse or anybody, if they get the solution from inside of them, it'll last forever. But if I just tell them what to do, it might help them for like a minute, but then they're going to be like, well, I'm going to do what I want. But if you can guide a kid,
yes.
that discovery, or your spouse or a friend or your mom, to come up with their own solutions, which my teacher Kathy was so profoundly good at.
Mm.
So that's one of those tools with Austin, with my new son, as he gets of age too, is just I'm so excited. I was so made to be a dad. Like I'm so excited to be a dad.
I love that so
Yeah.
much. Yeah, we're our goal here with Boot to Bullying is obviously to grow our following and to bring gratitude to schools so that they have a practice in the mornings before they start their day. So hopefully I'll get to do that once schools start back. And I'm hoping to be able to promote your book as well so that, fathers in schools can all just get a little bit more insight on good parenting and on listening to their children. And you're right, listening, I mean, going back to the artist way on listening,
Mhm.
listening to really, yeah, discover and be able to find the present moment versus like already thinking of being defensive or reacting or responding. So those are all incredible tools, not just for parenting, but even in friendships, even in any form of relationship, even to ourselves.
For sure, your gratitude practice. I mean, why don't I feel like we're teaching kids the wrong stuff? We're teaching them long division and algebra.
I remember nothing, by the way, from from those days.
No, what if we taught our kids in school about like communication tools and finance and gratitude practices and how to listen rather than we teach them colonization, like history that's told from one perspective. And that's like, I would love to be a part of this, a change in how kids are educated. I mean, we're probably going to homeschool our son, because I mean, I'm not that, I don't, there's so much bullying at school, so much drugs at school. Like my son was exposed to
Wow.
here in Pacific Palisades, and like, affluenza is what it's called, like affluent families, that there's it's a real problem, like affluenza. It's like there's wealthy families. These kids are just taking all kinds of drugs because they're um, not happy, and they're not taught these simple skills of like gratitude, like you're talking about, or how do you take responsibility.
Hmm.
And I really feel like what you're doing with gratitude is the key. It's one of our foundational pieces in our courses we teach, is gratitude.
Wow, amazing. Well, hopefully this is not the first and last live that we do together, and I would love to bring in Kate, maybe in the next one, so that we can do a three-way. I don't know if those happen, but those
Yeah.
um, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
so much again, Paul. If you have any last words, feel free. Normally these go like 20 to 30 minutes, but I guess we had a lot to say, and that it was perfect. It was awesome. I'm just so thankful for all your followers as well, just joining us today, and the Boot to Bullying followers. We love you and appreciate you, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I just want to thank all the people that came by to hear this and to make sure they follow the Boot to Bullying. And it's a really, something, bullying is something so I feel like it's even misunderstood, because we almost, that the child that's bullying, we look at it, maybe not everybody, but like that's a bad kid, or that's a bad apple, or a bad seed, when what's really happening, that kid learned that from an uncle who is bullying, or a parent, or the TV that they're watching. And it's like it's not the kid, it's the environment, and what's been happening at home. So that's why I feel like this parenting approach of the book that I'm doing will help to teach dads to be a little bit more present and gentle and kind with their kids, even if their dad wasn't. And that's not easy to do. That's like, it's in them. Like, that's how you react, is how you saw somebody do, especially if it was physically done to you.
Yeah.
It's like they just go and do the exact same thing. There's, and unless they're taught differently. And so hopefully this brings a little bit of awareness around that dynamic of it's not the kid that's a bad kid. It's like the environment.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And it's so true. I love to keep my focus on the bullies rather than the bullied. Just because, that's where, you know, I understand that where that comes from. And I think we've all been a bully in our lives, and we've all been the bullied, but we never really look at where we've been the bully. And the truth is, my belief is that we've all been there, or a bystander of it. And yeah, maybe we can ask all of you to just maybe take a look at yourselves, and notice where perhaps you haven't behaved in the best way, and just bringing awareness to that, and thinking like, wow, like, we've all said things or done things that perhaps weren't in the best light, and having more compassion, not to blame ourselves, not to shame ourselves whatsoever, but just bringing awareness to that, and knowing that we're all capable of it, and how can we have compassion for those that perhaps are bullying us, or that, even if your child is being bullied, like perhaps having compassion for the bully.
Yeah. How did you get involved with this bullying conversation? Like, how are you hosting this, and
Um,
why?
I've been an ambassador for now, I want to say, like, I've been around the Boo to Bullying movement since the beginning, but now an ambassador over the last 5 years. And I just felt really called to just be a part of it, just because I've been bullied in middle school and high school, even in college, really. But I've also been a bully. And perhaps in my younger years, or towards, and I've just been around the bullying that's sort of undercover, not necessarily beaten, not necessarily, but there's all these underlying types of bullying, and I think it's just an important thing to discuss for our children, who now, with social media, now with all these different platforms that are so underneath the surface. It's not necessarily the bullying you think of, where you're being locked in the locker room, or in locked anywhere, or thrown, like, not necessarily physical. What I'm saying.
No, the girl that I did a job in the past. I don't want to share who it is, but the one of the other actors was a young person, like in really young, like 13, and she was sharing on social media that she got the job, and somebody was so jealous that they said, "You should kill yourself." Like they said that to her in the comments on her thing, and I was like, I just can't even imagine like what it's like for a teen or a young person to be exposed to that level of like in like social media comments. So it's like it's definitely I think it's a lot more prominent now and a lot more intense now than when I was a kid.
Absolutely. I think now social media, people can hide under different names, can,
Yeah,
and that's just that it's sad because someone just said that's so sad. But it is sad because, we take things personally as a child, even as adults, that's a hard thing to get over, just taking things to heart. But as young teens, you believe it to be true because you don't necessarily have the self-worth yet or the self-love and that builds with time. So when you don't have that self-worth yet and you're being told you're ugly or you should die or whatever that is, then there's so much attention that comes towards these words or what is written. So I think it's just, yeah, I'm involved in it because I really think that there are things to be done, and also there are ways to heal, looking at the solution versus the problem.
yeah, for sure, for sure. That's you hit it on the head. That's what one of my teachers, Kathy, was always like solution. She's like, don't spend time in the problem. Go move. How quickly can you move to the solution and spend your time there rather than trying to figure out the problem, figure out the solution. Yeah.
And giving love to those bullies out there, stopping it, ending it, but also giving them love and compassion and knowing that, especially when they're kids, there are adult bullies, and for that, you can choose to interact, you can choose to cut off, whatever feels right for you. But especially for the children that have still this innocence and this flexibility to change and to evolve in a different light than they would if they didn't have the tools, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Amazing. Well,
Awesome.
you're incredible. Thank you so much for showing up today and for bringing your wonderful people. Thank you all for being here, and I look forward to the next one.
Sounds great. Thanks for asking me to do this. I'm glad it worked out. And congrats on your job and everything that's happening in your marriage. And congrats on everything that's happening for you.
Congrats to you, and I
Okay.
hope to see you soon.
Okay. Bye,
All
sweetheart.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.